A daring assassination in Iran reveals factional infighting in the Iranian regime, and it could change the nuclear balance of power in the Middle East forever. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Before we begin, I just want to give a big shout out to everyone who supports this show on Patreon. We did a recent episode about how YouTube has been censoring us, and so many of you stepped up to support the work we do through Patreon. This show wouldn't be possible without you. All right, let's begin. Now, this may be a surprise to you, but despite the coronavirus and the US election, other news continues to happen. Top Iranian nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh has been assassinated, possibly by a robot, possibly from Israel. But it turns out there's a lot of conflicting stories about what happened.
Fakhrizadeh, long suspected by Western and Israeli governments of masterminding a secret nuclear weapons program, was ambushed on a highway near Tehran on Friday and gunned down in his car.
Iran's President Hassan Rouhani was swift to blame US ally Israel for the assassination. He told a televised cabinet meeting that the Islamic Republic would respond, quote, at the proper time.
Oh, good. The proper time. Nice and unsettling. But the way Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was assassinated is so bizarre, it could have been lifted from some Hollywood movie. And his assassination not only points to factional fighting within the Iranian regime, but also the proliferation of nuclear weapons throughout the Middle East. I'll tell you how he was killed in just a moment, but first, you have to understand that his death sent shockwaves through the United States. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, the US State Department, and numerous intelligence analyses, Fakhrizadeh is the father of Iran's secret, illegal nuclear weapons effort that continues to this day, even after Iran pledged to disband it as part of the Iran nuclear deal. Though no one has officially claimed responsibility, Iran accuses the West of backing Israel in the secret assassination. And President Trump certainly seems happy. He retweeted a statement from an Israeli reporter calling the assassination a psychological and professional blow for Iran. Because nothing says this has the full support of the US government like retweeting someone else's analysis. As the New York Times says, Fakhrizadeh's death was at least the fourth assassination this year of a high-profile figure under the protection of Iranian security services, beginning with an American drone strike that killed the Iranian general Qasem Soleimani in January. Trump had ordered that one. And both assassinations may tie into Trump pulling the US out of the Iran nuclear deal. Evidence has emerged that Iran was cheating all along. It never stopped its nuclear weapons program. It was just kept out of sight under the subterfuge of developing a peaceful nuclear program. And because of the latest assassination, Iran says it's going to up uranium enrichment and bar nuclear inspectors. This would give Iran the ability to convert its entire stockpile to bomb-grade levels within 6 months, which has led to rumors Trump may be seeking options to attack Iran. So why did this assassination, with potentially the use of a killer robot, happen now? Well, a lot of people assume it was carried out by Israel, although there's no proof of that so far. That would make sense because Israel is nervous that Biden and his senior advisors, several of whom negotiated the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, will resume the pro-Iran, anti-Israel policies of the Obama administration. Several former Obama administration officials who have been tapped to join a Biden administration rushed to condemn the assassination. Former Obama-era CIA Director John Brennan called the assassination a criminal act. I'm shocked that a CIA director would condemn an assassination. I thought killing foreign officials was a CIA pastime. Brennan also said that Iranian leaders would be wise to wait for the return of responsible American leadership on the global stage and to resist the urge to respond against perceived culprits. I assume he's talking about Biden, though the election is not officially decided yet. Biden wants to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal, But Iran says only if the US accepts its demands to lift all sanctions. If Iran gets nuclear weapons, that could spark a chain reaction throughout the Middle East. Saudi Arabia says if Iran gets nukes, they want them too. Great. Saudi Arabia gets a nuke, and then pretty soon all its neighbors are going to want one too. Egypt's going to want a nuke, Turkey's going to want a nuke, Iraq's going to want a nuke. And then the US can invade Iraq again because this time they really will have weapons of mass destruction. And we won't have to lie about it this time. Dick. So to prevent all that, is it possible Israel took action to assassinate Iran's top nuclear scientist? After this short break, I'll tell you the incredible stories of how the assassination may have gone down and how it reveals deep fractures in the Iranian regime. Welcome back. Did an Israeli robot assassinate Iran's top nuclear scientist? According to a top Iranian security official, yes.
Unfortunately, this was a very complicated assassination that was carried out remotely with electronic devices, and no one was present at the scene.
No one was present. He says it was an autonomous machine gun that killed Fakhrizadeh. Israel does have those. But that story is a little different from the story carried by Iranian state-run news outlets the day before. In that story, a Nissan had been parked at a roundabout, packed with explosives and armed with an automated machine gun. The remote-controlled gun opened fire first, distracting Mr. Fakhrizadeh and his bodyguards as the assassins lay in wait. So, two different versions. One involving only remote-controlled weapons, and one that also involved human assassins. The account of a fully automated killing appeared to gain little traction because it contradicted early eyewitness accounts broadcast on state media, as well as comments by the family members of the assassinated scientist. And in fact, there was a third story, the original one actually, which didn't even mention an autonomous machine gun. That one is the most low-tech of the three, just involving a bomb and an ambush that included exchanges of gunfire. We don't know exactly what happened, but it seems the assassination took place here, in Asbard. It's near a mountain retreat where many of Iran's elite have second homes, including Fakhrizadeh. There's one account, as told by an Iranian journalist, who claimed to have received leaked information from the country's authorities. He said that half an hour before Fakhrizadeh's motorcade arrived, power to the area was cut. As the motorcade, made up of 3 bulletproof cars, approached this roundabout here, a car bomb in a parked Nissan exploded. No mention of an autonomous machine gun in this story. From the opposite direction came a 12-person hit team, made up of a car with 4 passengers, 4 motorcycles, and 2 snipers. They opened fire, mortally wounding Fakhrizadeh. So why the conflicting accounts? Well, it's frankly embarrassing for the Iranian regime that they couldn't protect Fakhrizadeh or capture his killers. And so now, a major blame game is going on. Iranians on social media mocked the new accounts of a fully automated execution as an attempt to minimize the embarrassment of the killer's clean getaway. One Iranian writer tweeted, "The official narratives were so contradictory that the heads of Iranian media should all resign over this embarrassment." Iranians on Twitter also made fun of the official narrative by sharing this image of the autonomous killer, a Nissan Transformer. But just like a Transformer, there's more than meets the eye here. It's become an internal battle between Iranian intelligence and the Revolutionary Guard. In what seemed to be an attempt to shift blame towards the Revolutionary Guards for failing to stop the killing, a government spokesman said that the intelligence ministry had warned the scientists' security team weeks in advance about the specific and exact details of a possible assassination attempt, including potential locations. And the spokesperson also said this crime could have been prevented if security protocols had been followed and they had been a little more careful. But then, the Iranian military hit back against the intelligence agency with a much more serious accusation. It wasn't incompetence on the military's part. No, it was a leak in the intelligence agency. The chief military advisor to Iran's supreme leader said, there is an intelligence crack. There are people in the system who are providing our enemies with information, and the enemy is plotting and executing plans based on these leaks. According to Iranian media, the military is also doubling down on the claims this was a high-tech assassination, carried out remotely with the help of satellite guidance, artificial intelligence, and facial recognition. Iran is in dire straits right now. U.S. sanctions and the coronavirus have devastated the economy. More and more Middle Eastern nations are forming alliances with Israel, specifically to counter Iran, like the peace deals involving the UAE and Bahrain. In a previous episode, I talked about political unrest sparking major protests in Iran. And now, this assassination is revealing factional infighting within the Iranian regime. The next U.S. president will need to keep in mind that despite all the bluster, the Iranian regime may be on the brink. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching this episode of America Uncovered.